Hi friends, my name is Rosie Crescitelli, and I'm very excited to share with you about the chakra system today. I will be using chakras and energy center terms interchangeably. They mean the same thing. I just tend to switch between those two words when I start talking about them. Very quick background about me so that you know the perspective that I'm bringing to this video is that I grew up in a Christian home. I went to Bible college. I go to church currently. I love Jesus. I love the Bible. And I also love the chakra system. I know that might be surprising to some. It's sort of making a comeback, so people are learning about it, and I am honored to be a part of helping people make peace with this system because, in my opinion, it is a very tangible way for you to see how we really are body, mind, and spirit. This system is beautifully designed. I believe it is actually a picture into God in us. And when you can understand even basically how it works and what's going on with it, you can learn to quiet yourself and see what's going on in your body and then get insight once you even know just a basic understanding of the centers. So that is my goal. I hope that this will be helpful for you to at least get you started in understanding what's going on in your body, bringing awareness to that so that you can heal. And let's get started. So as I mentioned, the chakra system is beautiful, and it's not just willy-nilly all over the place. It is intricately and specifically designed. There are 7 centers throughout the body, and I'll start on the bottom ones and work my way up. That's usually the way you go when you're learning about them. And basically, chakra is just an old Sanskrit word that means wheel. And the really cool thing about that is it spins in a circle like a wheel. So when your chakras are open, they are spinning in a beautiful circular pattern, and you are giving and receiving energy freely. So when you catch your breath or like hold your breath, then that's usually a disruption in the energy system in the body. So that is why these ancient modalities are always emphasizing the breath, because that is how we give and receive and move the energy and life throughout our body, right? I mean, everybody knows that breathing is important. So basically, the meridian system and the chakra system work beautifully together. Now, the meridian system is a whole different story for another day, but that is governed by the grand meridian line right here on our body, and that's how energy goes up and out around in our body. So we have like an energy field, and that can be measured, and you can actually see it. So if this is the first you've heard of it, Google energy field and see the pictures. There's actually there's a camera that can take a picture of it and see it. In Young Living Land, there's the I wanted to say Invisalign, Vivalign scanner that you can scan and actually see the biofield in the body. If you didn't know this, it's also how the Itovi scanner works. So it touches your hand, but it's actually measuring what's going on in your biofield. So that's a little fun fact for you. Basically, so the meridians are how our fields are. It's about as far as our arms go out around our body. That's our biofield. And they are, it's also dictated by our chakra system and whether they're open, compromised. Also, I will be talking in terms of being deficient and excessive. So when we don't have healthy experiences or we've experienced traumas in our lives, those have direct effect on our energy systems in our body as well. We can all attest to when we've had heartache. We use energetic terms all the time. When we've had heartache, we talk about, oh, that person had like bad energy, or when that person walked in the room, I just got bowled over by them, and we say these things, and those are energetic terms. So just start to bring awareness to that, because they're very telling in what's actually going on in our body and around ourselves as well. So I'm going to start by telling you, like I already told you, there are 7 systems. Now, the really cool thing is that they are also, there are colors that are aligned with each center as well. So color, sound, and essential oils, along with other things, can be measured on a frequency level. I can go on and on and on, but I'm going to really try and keep this brief. But frequencies can be measured by instruments, and so the really cool thing is that we have 7 centers, and they line up with the color spectrum. So if you were in school, you remember Roy G. Biv. So our centers are our root, which is the bottom center, and then our sacral is close to where our belly button. Most people know about the solar plexus right at the breastbone. The heart is a center, the throat is a center, the brow or third eye, and the crown. So those are the 7 centers, and so they also are aligned with the frequency of the color spectrum. So red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, violet. And they also align with the musical scale. So middle C is the root, D, E, F, G, A, and B. So I don't know about you, but that just makes me so excited, because it just shows me that there is an order to all of this. And there are people that use music for therapy, and there are people that use color and light for therapy. Many of us use essential oils for therapy. And so the chakra system ties all of those things together. As you can see, I'm all smiles. It's just so beautiful. And the really cool thing about that is you can use all of those things together to just bring healing and abundance to our bodies, right? Now, each center has a physiological connection, an energetic connection, and a spiritual connection. So I'm going to try and touch on all 3, just quick little boop, 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 boop information about those. And then I'm also going to share a little bit about what the Bible, in my opinion, has to say about those centers or that development. And then 1 or 2 or 3 essential oils that are best for those centers as well. So let's get started. Okay, I have my notes here, so 1 second. All right. So center 1 is the root, and that is our very first center. It is important because it is our, it's how we start life, how we begin to understand, and how we begin to understand how we fit in our family and our tribe. It's our foundation. When we talk about grounding, that has to do with the root chakra. It's a very important part of being present, being comfortable in our bodies. It is developed from the womb to 12 months of age. So during that time, it's all about survival, right? Like, we cannot survive on our own. We have to have a mother or someone taking care of us. If you were to just leave us, we would die. So it's all about survival, safety, and our survival instincts. So to begin to paint a picture of how a center can become deficient or excessive, basically has a lot to do with how we experienced life in those first 12 months of our lives. So if we did not have a safe home, or we were in chaos, or, you know, maybe if you were adopted, I'm not trying to assign anything to you, but just hear these things, and, you know, you were just sort of like bounced around or whatever, you will more than likely have some deficiency in your root chakra. So understanding that will help you speak truth to those things, because if you're here now and watching this video, you made it out of your first 12 months of life. And so now you can begin to replace these negative experiences with positive truths, and healing that way. So that is the developmental stage of the root chakra. Physically, it is connected to our legs, our kidneys, our bowels, and our adrenal glands, okay? So from our kidneys, which is our lower back, down, adrenal glands down, is our root chakra. So it's important to, and the interesting thing about that is, I'm filming this video in January. It's winter time, and this is the time of year for taking care of your kidney. So there's a primary emotion that is dominated by the kidney, and the negative emotion that can cause dysfunction is fear and depression. And so you always want to look at the opposite mirror emotion to that, which is faith and joy. And so you want to begin to replace these things, these negative things, with truth. So when you have a healthy root center, you are grounded, you are able to look at the past, take the positive lessons, and be firmly rooted in your decisions, in your processes. You want to be aware of if it's in excess. So we either, if we've had some dysfunction or some traumas to that part of our body, then we can either be excessive or we can be deficient. So you want to think of aligning energetically up and down, but also forward and backward, okay? So you just want to think of a plumb line and all of the centers opening and flowing freely, okay? If you like visualization, that is a very powerful one. When your root is excessive, it is can be shown by either overeating, hoarding, being inflexible. And then if you're deficient, then anxiety, fear, you have difficulty setting boundaries, maybe disorganized, and so you avoid life circumstances, and you're constantly living in survival mode, okay? So the way to begin to bring healing is by stating affirmations, either from the Bible, if that's your background, things like, God provides all I need to survive. Other Bible verses that I love that speak right to the root chakra is that you'll be like a tree firmly planted. You know, God chose you before the foundations of the earth were even made. And the Psalms talk about, in peace I lie down and sleep. For you alone, O Lord, make me dwell in safety. So again, this whole roots chakra has to do with safety. And then the New Testament, it's like, therefore I tell you, do not worry about tomorrow, what you'll eat or drink, what you will wear. And so, you know, there's just, do you see what I mean? Like there's so many Bible verses that go with this idea of safety and being firm and standing on the firm foundation. And if you don't read the Bible, or that's not speaking to you, you can literally picture roots digging down into the ground and helping you just be present and comfortable in your body and in yourself. So you can say things like, it is safe for me to be here. I love and accept my body. And if you can combine those with essential oils, then you're really getting energetically, you're emotionally in the emotional center of the body. So 3 oils, singles that are good are patchouli, geranium, and Idaho balsam fir, frankincense also. And then the blends that are good are gathering, grounding, sacred mountain. Valor is amazing for the root chakra as well. So I have to rein this in or this video is going to go way too long. So moving on to the next center is our sacral, and that is the belly button, like I said. And it's a beautiful center. The element that goes with the, sorry, I didn't talk about the elements. With the root is the earth. The element for the sacral is water. And this is beautiful because if you're a woman and you're touching your belly now, you know that that's where we grow babies. And what do? They float around in water. It's the color orange and the musical note of D. That's the frequency that matches this center. So if you need to support this center, you can literally wear the color orange. You can look at orange things. You can play music in the note and chord of D. And those things can bring healing in their own respective ways. But if you can bring awareness to it, that's where the shifting and changing really happens. So the developmental stage is from 6 months to 2 years. And it's when we begin to focus on ourselves and other people. You're aware of outside of yourself. Like you are beginning to know your family members and friends that come over often and things like that. So you begin to experience your world through your senses. And it's when you begin to have your emotions, right? Like the terrible twos. That's when you throw temper tantrums and you are in excess oftentimes with the emotions. So physiologically, the physical connection to the sacral, and maybe something will trigger this and be like, oh man, I need to support this because of what she said about the physical. So that's why I'm adding that aspect. But the lower back, the abdomen, the bowels, and your reproductive system and glands are dominated by the energy in the sacral center. The emotional and spiritual connection is our relationships with people, our relationships with money, and our relationships with things. So it's our center of creativity. Like I said, life is created in this part of our body and grown. It's also our sexuality is dominated by this center as well. It represents movement, fluidity, and is the seat of our emotional intelligence. So our gut, right? We talk about that quite a bit, and we are learning more and more about the connection, health of our gut with the rest of our body. When your sacral is healthy, then you are able to live at peace with God and others and yourself, and you're able to express yourself creatively and share your passions, desires, and dreams with others and move through life with grace and ease. Now, when you're deficient in this center, you also have difficulty setting boundaries. You might even have a diminished libido, antisocial behavior, and like I said, low back pain again. And when you have codependency, that is you overcompensating when you have unhealthy connection to people. When you are in excess in your sacral, then you will have inappropriate sexual behavior, hypersensitivity, inappropriate strong emotions, emotional dependency, and unhealthy attachments. So remember, you want to just work at being in alignment up and down and forward and backward. So the words, the Bible that addresses this center is, talking about life and being creative. So you were created For you created my inmost being. You knit me together in my mother's womb. 1 Corinthians 10:13 talks about temptation. Like, no temptation has overtaken you except what is common to man. But God is faithful, and he will not let you be tempted beyond what you can bear. And then the fruit of the Spirit: love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control. This is also just another about emotions. Be angry, but do not sin. Do not let the sun go down on your anger. Some affirmations that you can also use to speak into this is: I feel deeply, I deserve and experience pleasure, and I move and change easily. Some of the oils that align with this center energetically and on a frequency level: rose, neroli, ginger, juniper, sandalwood, cedarwood. And then the blends are acceptance, dragon time, envision, forgiveness. That's actually where we're supposed to put forgiveness on when we're doing the feelings kit. Sarah, harmony. I mean, the list goes on and on. I have quite an extensive list, but I'll stop there for the sacral. So the way to, some practical ways to bring healing to the center is by play. Connecting to your younger self, and there's play therapy, moving the body, getting back into fluidity and becoming aware of our emotions. All right. I am on to center number 3, which is the solar plexus. And I love this center. I feel a lot of things in this center personally. And if those of you who know me, when I start talking about it, you'll be like, yep. So the solar plexus, sorry, I have a touch screen and I must have fat fingers tonight. The solar plexus is our seat of personal power. So that will probably, you'll be like, oh, yep, okay. Now I know why. But the solar plexus is beautiful, and it's very close to the heart. This is how close these two centers are to one another. So if you're feeling something here, you almost will always feel it here. And if you're feeling something here, you will almost always feel it here, because they're very close together. It is our source of power. The color is yellow, and the musical note is E, and the element is fire. Isn't that interesting? The developmental stage is from 18 months to 4 years old, and this is when children begin to assert their will, right? 3-year-olds, teenagers, if you have any, you know what I'm talking about. The big lesson to learn in the development of this center is impulse control. Knowing when to hold on, when to let go, when to speak up, when to hold back. So the physical connection to this center is the stomach, the liver, the spleen, gallbladder, pancreas, upper intestine, middle of the back. And this center greatly influences the immune and nervous systems, right? That makes sense. The emotional and spiritual connection is, as I mentioned, your sense of personal power, your self-confidence, your ego, your individuality, your self-esteem, how you assimilate everything into your thoughts, and how it is handled in the center. A healthy solar plexus is balanced. Your ego and your intuition are balanced here. And you feel confident and empowered to take action when you need to. You have appropriate boundaries. That keeps coming up, friends. And you're reliable. When you're able to stand in your own power and express yourself with courage, then that is a healthy solar plexus. When you just know your role, you know what you can do and what you can't do, you know the role God plays in all of this, or that it's bigger than just you. That's where the solar plexus is dominant in that. When your solar plexus is deficient, then you have poor energy, poor digestion, low self-esteem, poor posture. You choose a victim mentality. You're unreliable, passive, and succumb to feelings of powerlessness. Shame is also a big one, a big emotion affected in the solar plexus area. Now, when you are in excess in this center, it looks like being aggressive, dominant, arrogant, high-tempered, controlling, manipulative, or even violent. So to bring that back into balance, you want to speak truth to this area of your body. And if you feel pain there, that's a little signal to just slow down and dial in, speak truth, breathe some essential oils, turn on some music, and see what lesson there is for you in this. So some Bible verses that speak to this is that God has not given us a spirit of fear, but of power and of love and of sound mind. To speak to shame, there is no condemnation for those who are in Christ Jesus. If God is for us, who can be against us? Our God is a consuming fire. I love that because of the fire element. And present your bodies as a living sacrifice, holy and acceptable. And then some regular affirmations are, I honor the power within me. I accomplish tasks easily and effortlessly. The fire within me burns through all blocks and fears. I love that one. I can do whatever I will do. So basically, you can say those things while breathing in coriander, lime, marjoram, vetiver, grapefruit, peppermint, lemon, juniper, any of those. Excuse me. And then the blends that work beautifully with this center are acceptance, citrus fresh, digest, forgiveness, harmony, Juva cleanse, any of the Juvas, and then tranquil roll on. Some healthy practices to bring the center into balance is to choose to take risks, like sign up to take a risk, like voluntarily go through something out of your comfort zone to strengthen the center. Go back to who you are. Go back to your identity. Speak truth to that. I am loved. I am chosen. I am enough. I am forgiven. And then you may need to look into some psychotherapy if you've had abuse in this area, just to help bring some healing on a psychological level. So that's the solar plexus. Next we have the heart. Oh, another amazing center. It's actually, in my opinion, the most important one because it is in the middle. There are 3 centers below it and 3 centers above it. So many people refer to this center as the transformer because if the heart is compromised in any way, it can literally affect the whole body. And I know that if you've lived life at all, you will know that that is true. When your heart is hurting, you just are off kilter. So, very important, very, very important to take care of the heart. It governs our higher selves, which are the 3 centers coming up, and our lower selves, as you noticed, very physiological, literally controlling the majority of our organs in our body. And we have to have those working well in order to survive, right? So the heart is the color green. It is the musical note of F, and the element is air. That makes sense, right? For us to breathe in. And the developmental stage for the heart is ages 4 to 7. So that's when you really begin to love. Like, I have 2 4-year-olds right now, and they actually really do understand when I say I love you, or they can voluntarily come up and say, I love you, unprompted by me. So I just realized, oh, that's really sweet, because it's very, very true in my house right now that we give and receive love all the time, and they are aware of what's going on. So you have to go through impulse control, all the 3 centers, right, in order to know how to give and receive love in a healthy way. And the heart dictates how we speak as well. It has to go through the heart in order to make it to the throat and then our mouth, right? So forgiveness is a huge element here that for the health of the heart. So physical, the connection is the thymus gland, which is right here. That's actually our high heart. And when you're a child, it's a huge part of your immune system as well. The shoulders, the arms, the breasts, the circulatory system, and the upper back are the physical connection to the heart. Now, a healthy heart is able to demonstrate compassion, able to hand the ebb and flow of life with acceptance. You're not afraid to explore your higher self and the meaning behind what has happened to you, maybe in your younger years. You're able to experience and give empathy with others, and intimacy is dictated by the heart as well. I love this definition of intimacy. It is to know, to be known, and to be understood. So I love that. So, okay. When you have a deficient heart, you have antisocial behaviors, you withdraw, you are hypercritical, intolerant of yourself and others. You may experience loneliness, depression, a lack of empathy, fear of intimacy, the tendency to isolate, and grief can greatly affect this center. When you are excessive in this center, you may experience that with codependency, poor boundaries, a demanding nature. You may be clingy or jealous, constantly seeking out and requiring love. And you have to be the center of everything, and you are lacking in security and self-love. So the Bible is full of information on the heart, but just a couple of them. Above all else, guard your heart, for it is the wellspring of life. Trust in the Lord with all your heart. Lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge him, and he will make your paths straight. Light shines on the righteous, and joy on the upright in heart. A happy heart makes the face cheerful, but heartache crushes the spirit. He has made everything beautiful in his time. He has also set eternity in the heart of man. So those are just a couple. I have a ton more. Some affirmations are: I am worthy of love. I am loving to myself and others. There is an infinite supply of love, and I live in balance with others. Some oils to say while you're repeating some of those things to yourself are rose, melissa, bergamot, ylang ylang, thyme, lavender, and then some blends would be abundance, acceptance, joy, humility, gathering, forgiveness, harmony always, white angelica, an amazing oil for the heart. And some healthy practices for the heart are to acknowledge and express any grief that you may be holding in. Begin with showing compassion and grace to yourself first, and then practice sharing those with others. Deep breathing, journaling, learn to forgive, detach from codependent relationships, and then you can actually do stretches to open the heart center. So those are some healthy practices for you with the heart. Isn't that one beautiful? I love talking about the heart. Okay, next we're going to the throat, and I am actually wanting to cough really bad, but I'm trying not to. There we go. That feels a little better. The throat. So this one's not as mysterious for people. When you have any physical any physical things with the throat, you're aware of it right away. For frequency, the color is blue. The musical note is G. And the interesting word, the Sanskrit word for the throat chakra, translates into purification. Isn't that interesting? So you can literally put purification on your throat. That's what it means, and it just aligns with it beautifully and helps with any lymph stuff. I'm getting ahead of myself, but developmental stage for the throat is that time when we learn the language of our family. So again, if you're allowed to speak what impacts you and your voice is heard in a healthy way in your home, then you usually have a healthy throat center. Yes, it's how we express our emotions. So there you go. The physical connection is our thyroid, our parathyroid, our neck, our throat, obviously. The parasympathetic nervous system, which is our rest and digest, and our feed and breathe center is here in the throat. And it energetically and spiritually, it influences our self-expression, our communication skills. It's about speaking your truth in love, and then having the right will and emotions to back up what you're saying. If you are deficient in this area, you will have a fear of speaking, difficulty expressing yourself. If you had authoritarian parents, they can create a deficient throat center because you weren't allowed to speak in your home. An excessive throat center, surprise, surprise, talkative, overly talking, like talking as a defense to sort of hide, inability to listen, a gossip, a tendency to lie, a tendency to interrupt others, so busy speaking that you're not able to get to a place of quietness to hear. So the Bible has a lot to say about the tongue. James is one of my favorites. For every species of beasts and birds, of reptiles and creatures in the sea is tamed and has been tamed by the human race. But no man can tame the tongue. It is a restless evil and full of deadly poison. So with it we bless our Lord and Father, and with it we curse men who have been made in the likeness of God. From the same mouth come blessing and cursing. My brothers, this should not be so. So, for the sake of time, I'm going to just jump to the affirmations. You can say, I hear and speak truth. I express myself with clear intent. Creativity flows in and through me, and my voice is necessary. I love that one, especially if you are introverted and you don't feel like your voice or your opinion matters. It does, my friend. Some oils that help open the center. I already told you purification for the blends, but to go to the singles, myrrh, frankincense, palmarosa, sandalwood, rosemary, peppermint, myrtle, the respiratory oils, right? That also helps with the heart, but really with the throat, it's really great for the throat. And the blends, Breathe Again, Clarity, Endoflex, Raven, RC, Valor. So healthy practices for the throat are literally to loosen your neck. So you can do neck rolls, your shoulders, singing, storytelling. I love that. Journaling, and then just practice expressing yourself, especially for inner child stuff. So if you need to use your inner child oil to be able to talk through some of those things, that's a very healthy practice for your throat. Excuse me, I have been talking a ton. Almost done, friends. We're at our last two. We're talking about the brow now. And while I grab this, well, I'll wait until I get to the end to share my main resource for this class. No, I'll tell you now because I am waiting. But Anodea Judith is the expert on the chakra system. This book, Eastern Body, Western Mind, I mean, look at it. It's, sorry, I've got a piece of paper, but it's substantial. So I'm barely scratching the surface. I tried to grab the most interesting, like, sweeping things to share with you so that you could at least get a basic understanding and begin to think about things. But if you want to do more research, she really is the one who, and she's still alive, she is currently the expert on the chakra system. So I love all of her things. And okay, so the brow, or the third eye, is our ability to perceive. It's the color indigo, and the element is light, so to see, right? And the musical note is A. The developmental stage is adolescence. That's when we begin to really wake up. And this physically addresses the vision, the ears, the nose, the brain, the pituitary gland, so our emotional center, so our cognitive and sensory facilities. Emotionally and spiritually, the brow is the connection to our thoughts, our ideas, our intuition, our insight, and our dreams. It's how we see where we're going and what we're doing with our life. So adolescence is when you really start to consider those things for the first time, really. Emotionally and spiritually, this is, I just talked about that. So when your brow or third eye is healthy, you're able to think symbolically, trust your intuition, look for clarity and vision in things, see clearly from the past and the lessons that are here for your current situation, clarity and wisdom, perceiving and recognizing patterns in your life, and then discerning what you believe, like your deep beliefs, right? When your brow is deficient, then you have difficulty projecting forward, thinking about the future, planning for the future, dreaming, setting goals. You have difficulty remembering your dreams. You're very rigid in your thinking, insensitive. You can get stuck in black and white thinking and unable to see the big picture. And then when you go like this, that's usually a physical indication also that your brow is deficient when you knit your brow together like that. Excuse me. An excessive brow is when you can't be present in your life because you're daydreaming too much, you're obsessing too much about the future. You have difficulty concentrating, you're prone to nightmares, you notice too much around you, or you believe anything you see or hear, and you're not able to really test to see if something is true or not. So that's an excessive brow. So some Bible verses that go with this: your word is a lamp to my feet and a light to my path. Where there is no vision, people cast off restraint, but blessed is the one who heeds wisdom's instructions. The beginning of wisdom is acquire wisdom, and with all your acquiring, get understanding. Some affirmations you can say is, I see all things in clarity. I am open to the wisdom within. I can manifest my vision. And some oils that go really well on the brow. I love to put them right on my forehead, especially before I go to bed, when the subconscious mind is the most active. Cedarwood, myrrh, helichrysum, rosemary, sandalwood, frankincense, lavender, and then some brow blends would be awaken, brain power, clarity, envision, hope, transformation. All of those are awesome. And some healthy practices to promote a healthy third eye is to create visual art, color, Mindfulness practices, so doing things like headspace or guided meditations, guided visualizations, creating a vision board, allowing yourself to daydream, keeping a dream journal, and then really just start listening to your intuition. It usually speaks first. So when we don't listen to what's happening first and we talk ourselves out of things, and that's our ego popping up, which is more of our lower self trying to keep us safe. So our brow wants us to dream and vision, create a vision. So do those things. Use your imagination. So last but not least is our crown. Excuse me. It is, some people believe that it actually sits above the head a little bit. And but you can drop oils right on the top of your head to begin to open up the crown center. So the crown is amazing. I love talking about this. This is the picture of the lotus flower. It means 1,000-fold, like an infinite unfolding lotus flower. It spirals up to the heavens. It is the color violet and the musical note B, and it literally is our thought or consciousness. That's the element. So the developmental stage is adolescence to early adulthood, and basically it's our view, our worldview, honestly. The physical connection is our brain, our pineal gland also, our skeletal, muscular, and skin systems. The emotional connection, this is our connection to God. This is when we believe that life is bigger than us. We are not calling all the shots. This is when you begin to let go and let God, right? It represents our spirituality, our spiritual path, our sense of purpose, our meaning. This is all dictated by the crown center. A healthy crown is when you're able to understand, share grace with yourself and others. You have wisdom to share. You're open to what's happening in your life. You're connected and aware of your mind, body, and spirit. You are ready to serve others. So it's not all about you. This is big picture, friends, outside of yourself, right? It spirals up and out. And that basically summarizes the crown center. The more developed the center, the greater your sphere of influence. That's an energetic term, friends. Being conscious and aware, you're able to take command of your attention and how you're thinking, command of your thoughts. And so a healthy crown is what we're going for. When your crown is deficient, you are confused, you might have addiction, a spiritual addiction, or a disassociation with your body even. Narcissism is a deficient, sorry, that's an excessive. Deficient is your inability to be open to others. So you shut that down where you're just thinking about yourself. You're judgmental. You have a lack of attention, isolation, depression, separation. In excess, excuse me, this is when you have spiritual addiction. You might be a religious fanatic, disassociation from your body. That was excessive. Narcissism, too much attachment to certain beliefs. You overanalyze, and you cannot quiet the mind down. That's when your crown is in excess. So some Bible verses. Love the Lord your God with all your heart, mind, soul, and strength, and your neighbor as yourself. Be still and know that I am God. When I was a child, I used to speak like a child, think like a child, reason like a child. When I became a man, I did away with childish things. For now we see in a mirror dimly, but then face to face. For I know in part, but then I will know fully, just as I have been fully known. But now faith, hope, and love abide, these three, but the greatest of these is love. some affirmations. I am open to new ideas. Information that I need comes to me. I am guided by my inner wisdom. And some oils you can use with those are rose, frankincense, cedarwood, lavender, rosemary, sandalwood. And then the blends: awaken, brain power, gathering, live with passion. So you can literally drop those on the top of your head to get the crown opening and get those blocks out of the way. Some healthy practices: pay attention. Okay, begin to slow down, listen, and just pay attention. Be still, quiet yourself, and know that you're not the one in control of everything. Releasing is a really important part of health in this center. So we did it. You made it. I hope this was helpful to you. I have done a ton of healing with an understanding of these centers. I know this was a bit, there were lists, right? I hope it wasn't overwhelming. Please let me know if you have any questions. I love to chat about this. I am thankful for this opportunity to share, and I hope this is just a pathway for you to gain some more information and more insight about the different parts of ourselves and how they're all intermingled. So maybe you have a physical thing that's popping up and nagging. Use that as an opportunity to ask yourself if perhaps you're deficient or you're excessive. If there's an emotional or spiritual component, there is always an emotional and spiritual component. Spoiler alert. So it is just a really beautiful practice to tie all of those things in, let your body work together as a whole, and maybe try some different things to bring some health and healing and openness into those areas. Thank you again for your time, and hopefully I can get to meet you and we can chat about this. Take care.